podcast, Voices of the Underworld, and I'm your host and executive producer, Brandon Green. And today's guest, we have an Akron native who's a proud son, proud father, and a proud brother. And we're glad to introduce to you Mr. Norman Valencia. So, what's up, man? How you feeling?
All is good.
Okay, man. Well, we glad to have you. We gonna get straight to it.
Likewise.
So, for our listeners, man, I know you grew up on the southwest side of Akron. How was it growing up, in your household?
Well, in my household growing up, it was real smooth. I got two older sisters, a younger brother. We was real close, growing up. My mom and dad, they was hard workers. They was married over 30 years. So they just set the tone for me as far as working and everything. And I was the oldest boy, so I had a lot of responsibilities, around the house, and they just kept me in line, man.
Okay, cool. So that was it was a lot of structure in your house, like you say, y'all was close. So growing up in the hood, as we call it, what was the thing that kept you from not getting in trouble? How some of the other kids you seen
Oh, I
getting in
see where you
trouble?
coming from. Well, what kept me clean is, like my parents. I went to school every day. I got the good grades. I was a bookworm, and what actually really kept me, away from the streets was I was working at a young age. I was blessed to have a job making about 150 a week, and I was only in middle school, so that was
Uh-huh.
real. I mean, seeing that money, that was real at that. Being 13, 14 years old. So that steered me right. You know what I mean?
For sure. Well, like, your household, versus a lot of the other households that we see that you seen me, you have both your mom and your dad, and
Right.
I know that was very instrumental, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was instrumental because even though my real dad, he was an older guy, he wasn't there because he was married with another family, but he was in my life, and my stepdad actually stepped up and was a good father figure, hard worker, and he was in my life as well. So I had my mom, my stepdad, and my real dad actually.
Okay, so, it was definitely positive around you, but was it ever a time where you wanted to go astray or you did?
Well, I remember my older sister. She had dated a guy, and he was in the streets a little bit, hothead, and he was trying to show me the ropes. I remember one time it was around Christmas time, and this crazy because we had spent the night at my sister's apartment. She had an apartment on the east side, Joy Park area, and
Yep.
we got up early in the morning. He's like, "Come on, man, we about to go, make some money." I'm thinking like, what? So, long story short, he showed me how to open up some car doors, and we was, getting in the cars and stuff. We found money, and I knew that wasn't right, but I mean, at the same time, I had some money in my pocket, but I didn't want to go that route, so I just didn't veer that way. But that was one time where I was like, man, the streets is crazy. But that wasn't me though. You know what I mean?
Okay, so it was like it took that one time for you to see, like you say, this ain't me.
Yeah, this ain't me, man. I don't want to go that route.
Okay, cool. And like, and you mentioned earlier, you and your siblings was close, and like, so
Right.
give us a little more detail. How was that? Just coming up with having y'all being a unit like that.
It was real good. It was, we were close. Me and my brother, we played actually high school football together. We played the ARB basketball, and my sisters. I went to school with my younger sister. We went to Central Howard together, and I ventured off. And yeah, so we went to school together. We did the brother and sister thing. Amusement parks and stuff like that. But that's a sensitive situation Because right now we don't even talk like we used to. So
Mm.
um, that's just real. That's a shocker because my parents wouldn't want that.
Okay, well, we definitely gonna speak to that, soon. Now coming into high school, like you said, you and your youngest sister, y'all went to school together. How was high school for you?
Whew, man, you know how high school was. High school was crazy, man. It was, a lot to do. Like I said, we went to Central. Central was going back then. It's closed right now, but it was jumping back then. You had your basketball stars. You was a star. We hooped together. We just had a good time in high school, man. You had the girls. We dressed good. We went to school every day. And we just, we ain't had that many priorities in school, but it was nice though, man.
Yeah, there was definitely some times to remember. So on the sports side of things, you end up for our listeners, you was at Central with us, but then you end up transferring to Kenmore. Why did you do that?
Man, Central Central was stacked, man. I played basketball, and Central was stacked, so we had all the superstars there. So I was like, man, I didn't make the team my sophomore year. I got upset. I was a freshman MVP and didn't make the team. So I said, I'm going to Kenmore. So I ended up, transferring out. I went to Kenmore my junior and senior year, and I ended up getting on the court there, man. So that was more for me, my story, just wanting to play basketball and be a superstar.
For sure. So what was the experience like, going to Kenmore but leaving Central?
It was wild because Central I knew everybody, and I played on the team, and my sister was there. My buddies. You was there. I had all my friends, and then I went to Kenmore. It was a different atmosphere. I knew a few people. So yeah, just transferring out, it was a little different. But I blended in. At Kenmore. I met my younger Well, I met my high school sweetheart at Kenmore, and we had 3 kids together. So that was a good transition over there, man, for me.
Okay, so what post high school, what happened? Did you go to college or anything? What did your life go after that?
I didn't go to college. I was actually a bookworm, so I could have went for my grades, but I didn't go to college. I ended up moving in with my high school sweetheart, and we had our oldest son a year later. So I was like, man, it's time to get a job. So I always held down a job, and I was doing the family thing at a young age. Man, I was 19, first son. And just it was like it's time to grow up. Wasn't no college for me.
Okay, so now that was your first son. You got, and for our listeners, you got two older sons, a daughter, and then you got a younger son.
Yeah, that's
So
correct. Hmm.
so one thing that we want to highlight, and is, we're not proud of it, but it's for our listeners because somebody may need to hear this. That your kid's mom, with your first three,
Hmm.
she had started getting involved with drugs. Was you with her during that time?
See, I was with her, but I don't want to say I was oblivious to it, but I actually didn't know because as far as the drugs, she was more into like the pills. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
yeah, I honestly didn't know, and I was never a smoker. I never did alcohol and stuff like that. So it was more she was a closet person with it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so a lot of what she was doing went over your head, but looking back on it, for our
Uh huh.
listeners, with some signs that maybe if somebody else may be going through the same thing and they love one or they significant other getting high, what's some
Hmm.
signs that not that you look back on it that you've seen that maybe you didn't realize at that time?
Well, I think some signs of like watching the people that hang around. You can see if they looking different or attitude changing. Certain stuff like that. If things come up missing, you know, just certain stuff like that. you can look for, and that's like that'll be an eye opener and a red light. Like
Okay, so this them streets podcast. So a lot of what we talk about is all geared towards the streets, and we already know how drug use, how that can play. So, but also a major thing is we talk to a lot of moms and who was single moms, but you was a single dad. So, how was that for you?
yeah, I was a single dad. I didn't see it coming, but I'm a strong person, and I always been in my kids' lives and all of my lives. And when she said that she can't provide for them, and that I needed to, take the kids, and I manned up. I was already, there. I was already, taking care of them. So I just, I took custody. I went through the courts. I did it the right way. I had my own spot, and I had custody of them. They was young. Elementary, middle school. So they graduated. I still had custody of them, and they made it to college, man. So it was a hard venture, but with God, and my willingness to do it, I was able to do it.
Sure, man, and that's we got to give you big ups on that because like you got three kids that's done graduate. They all in college on scholarship.
Oh yeah, they bookworms and everything. So yep, yeah, that's real big. I appreciate that.
Okay, so for our listeners, man, now you wasn't in the streets, but now you talking about I consider you a brother, you family. So I was,
Right.
and so seeing me going through that, how has that been for you?
Man, that been super hard, bro. It been super hard, but we always been close. We never left contact. You know what I mean? So that's always a plus, and it was real good seeing you and chopping it up with you when you came home, man. That was serious right there. And looking back, man, I wish everything didn't turn out how it was, honestly. But people got different paths. So I'm just waiting for you to come home, man. That's number one. Waiting for you to come home, bro.
Sure. So for somebody that's listening, if they got family members or like how me and you is like, how would you tell them they can support their loved ones while they incarcerated?
Man, number one is don't forget about them. When people go to jail or whatever, and it seems like family forget about them. Number one, you should always keep in contact. I mean, it's a phone. You can write them. Make sure they eat, man, because it's rough, and where you at, man, and a lot of these families, they don't look out for them. So I would say just make sure keeping that contact, and letting them know you there for them. You know what I mean?
Okay, that's all right. Now, as far as like some of the younger generation, it's definitely different now with the
Oh
kids
yeah.
growing up versus how we did. So, but if it's any advice that you give to a younger kid, what would you tell them?
I would tell the young kids that get in sports, man. Don't be in the streets. Have something to do. And if you don't got nobody, get you a mentor, somebody that can mentor you. You got a lot of mentors out here, and just keep a level head. School is number one, and keep God in your life. That's the number one right there for the youngsters.
Okay, now we want to fast forward to this is definitely a touchy topic, but in January of 2020, man, you faced a situation that we never want to be faced with. You lost your mom, and I call her my mom too, and so I just want to know, how was that for you, man, during that period of time?
Man, that's rough right there, bro. When that happened, actually, I was in a dark place. Me and my mom, we were super close. Um, and if you didn't know, she was on a dialysis. That's where you go to get treatment, 3 times a week. Basically, a machine is keeping you alive. So what all went down was, when she get treatment, you have like a fistula, where you do your treatment
Uh-huh.
at, and that actually, that fistula, it was so wore out, it actually gave way, and it just burst, and she bled to death. But I know she up there, smiling down. I'm strong. I'm out of that dark place. Me and my siblings, we don't talk, but I keep in contact with my dad, and I just try to stay strong, bro. You know how that is. I keep God in my life, and I really miss my mom. So it's just rough at times, but I know she with me, man. You know.
Yeah, for sure, man. And like I said, we definitely sorry to hear that, and like your strength, man, it's unwavering. So, and as far as like with your siblings, man, you had brought that up earlier, like some of the things and
Right.
how it is. Your mom wouldn't want it that way. So, is it
Definitely.
something that is it repairable in your eyes, or how you feel?
I think it's repairable. I did reach out to my sister a few days ago, and she did respond via text message. So you know, little by little, I'm just trying to, get it back together. Family is important, and we shouldn't see the family just on funerals and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's real important, man. Just to keep that line of communication, and just, let the past be the past. If you got something going on, like, what I mean?
For sure, man, for sure. Now, you got a younger son, so like, are you using the same parenting strategies that you did with your other two sons?
Uh, Actually, yeah, because he's in sports. I go get him every other weekend. I got the visitation through the courts. I did it the right way. Um, Me and his mother is cordial. We do talk. I pay my child support, number one, and I'm in his life, so he know I'm here. I'm there for him. Just because me and mom not together, that don't mean I'm not gonna be there for him. So yeah, that's real important. Me just being there and showing him the way.
Man, that's major right there, because it's a lot of us that's, whether we was in the streets or whatever, we got kids, and
You're
I
right,
know sometimes it can be difficult dealing with these women. But for you,
man.
man, even when it's difficult, what is it like? How do you get over it? Because these women, they can be vindictive, they can be a whole lot, but they still the mother of our kids, and we still got
You're right.
a responsibility to take care of them. So just give it. If it's if it's a brother young or older that's struggling with that, what would you tell him?
I would tell him first and foremost, just have that bond with the son or daughter. As far as the mom, you can be cordial with them. You don't have to be with them, just to see a kid or whatever. And if you could pay child support or support them, you could do it that way, and just try to be in their life. You know what I mean? If the mom is making it hard on you, that I mean, just try to be there, man. That's all I could tell them. Just try to be there for the kid.
Right, because it's a lot of situations, bro, where like, like for example, you pay child support, but then you still go
Right.
get your son and spend money. But some dudes feel like, and I'm not saying
Oh,
they're right or wrong, but some dudes feel like, well, hey, I pay child support, so I shouldn't do this or do that. What's your feelings towards that?
I see right where you coming from. And a lot of guys is like that, feeling like child support is what it is, but actually, it's a little bit more, because the kid still need, you know probably shoes, or they need clothes, and you don't know what the mom doing the child support on, but if you got it, you can go ahead and just do a little extra for the kid, man. you know
Okay, okay. Well, we covered a whole lot here, man, and we definitely want to say we appreciate you for taking your time out. So before we do close, man, is there anything you want to say that you didn't say? Any shout out you want to get anybody? Feel free to do that.
well, we covered a lot, and one thing I want to say is I take my hat off to you, because I see you do a lot for yours, and I respect that, man. And just keep doing the good. Keep doing your job, man. It's not going unseen, man. So I appreciate you having me, and we stay in contact.
Okay, that's what's up. Well, this is them Streetz podcast, Voices of the Underworld, and our today's guest is Mr. Norman Valencia. So until the next time, man, we out 100.
Thank you for using GTL.